Alright, I'm going to talk about why we bother to make use of objects in mind, magic, psionics, and mentalism. And by the way, what is a psionic artificer? Well, it's somebody who infuses psionic energy into objects, and usually storing these for later use or for building new constructs out of the various components. Now, it's often conceived that a psionics operator does not need any objects to work with, particularly the more traditional components suited to ceremonial magic or medieval rituals. The truth is that there is a good and sufficient reason for this apparent misunderstanding about objective and subjective magic in psionics. Allow me to explain. Essentially, it is noted that while humans and the environment tend to change quite rapidly over the years, over time, objects do not. At least not on the energy level so much. Objects are rather primitive forms of intelligence, we might say. And I know that the layperson's going to say, yeah, an object is intelligent. What the heck does that mean? Well, intelligence is really just the measure of information. So we really do have a limited idea as to what is intelligence, what is smart, what is wisdom, what is wise. Because we live in very institutionalized, structured kind of society that's very simple. It's an exoteric society on the one hand, like the flip side of a coin, and then on the other you have those at the top of the pyramid who have the esoteric knowledge. And well, I don't want to confuse you. I simply want to establish that objects do contain information. So, while you may not feel like yourself as you do now, in, say, some decades from now, or even just a few months from now, it is well known that a sentimental object that's tucked away for 20 years will retain its qualities. Thus, as we grow older, it is possible to store away some of the aspects of ourselves, the energies or qualities of our younger selves, or of better times, the heydays, the times of yore, right? Those of us in Gen X probably are feeling that right now. A little nostalgic, yes? And, so you store these objects away in which to later draw upon the powers of hope and inspiration. Or you need a reboot, right? And this may be of particular importance in our times of, I might call it our times of endarkenment. As the times of these dark tidings weigh in on our spirits, it is a nice reprieve to have on hand an old object which relatively restores a certain sense of self and meaningfulness in life. The old palm crystal which healed your aunt or uncle years ago when they were still alive is a powerful object to have on hand some decades later to bring it out and bring about the same desired effect of sending blessings and spiritual wellness to others or even yourself. So the human energy field is subject to change. Rather, this is an understatement. To be frank, our energy fields are constantly in a state of flux. We're walking around and your local neighborhood clairvoyant passes by and you look like you're on fire because you got all this energy moving about. And it's perfectly natural for energies to be in a state of flux. Whereas an object, on the other hand, is in a sort of stasis, which retains whatever intentions were bestowed upon it, whatever subtle energies from the environment at the time that say it was entreated as being magical, or in the ordinary sense, regarded with intense sentiment. I'd like to share with you some of my own personal experiences with something known in parapsychometry, and then I'll bring you up to speed on something my team and I came up with regarding the initial trial of techniques with the miraculous prayer board that I now refer to technique as psychometric infusion. So let's begin with the old school psychometry. Psychometry is a fascinating and somewhat mystical concept that delves into the hidden connections between objects and human emotions or memories. Imagine holding an antique pocket watch, right? Its cold metal surface worn smooth by time, and suddenly feeling a rush of emotions, perhaps nostalgia, curiosity, or even a fleeting glimpse into the past. Psychometry suggests that objects retain energetic imprints, and these imprints are from their previous owners or the events that the objects have witnessed. Let's explore this intriguing psychometry phenomenon further, yes? You know, when someone practices psychometry, they become attuned to the subtle energies surrounding an object, and many objects, as a matter of course. These energies are believed to be imprints left behind by people who interacted with the object, as we've already said, and whether this is through touch or the energy field such as strong emotions or, surrounding events, significant life events, world wars. Guy who wins the lottery had a ring, a sentimental ring he always wore. Maybe that's going to bring you good luck. Who knows? The practitioner, or often referred to as a psychometrist, holds the object and tunes into these residual vibrations. Yes? My childhood memories, or as we said moments ago, residual vibrations, are filled with some rather fond memories and moments of retrospect back into the sunny days of Fountain Valley, California, at my grandparents' house. Every year, I would take a look on Google Earth to see how much that house and surrounding community has changed since its former glory of the early 1980s, right? So the year now being 2024, I look on Google Earth and see that there's been some modifications to the old house by its new residents. And, the surrounding community landscape hasn't really changed too much, a little here and there, maybe some new condominiums where there used to be maybe some apartments, or perhaps the green belt looks a lot smaller out by Grandpa's old house than it did when I was a kid. But not too much has changed. It's still pretty nice looking. Some of the homes there, albeit, are worth millions of dollars today. I think the price of houses has gone up ridiculously. I can imagine, some of the homes maybe they could be worth $600,000, $800,000, but over $1 million, that's just ridiculous. But here we are in the new world. There's a certain sentiment about the place due to my history there. However, while I'm able to mentally travel to the scene, looking at a computer screen, closing my eyes, using my psionic focus meditation, and then reverse my steps in time, I cannot always feel the precise moments that I'm eager to re-experience without having any tools on hand. And I'm talking about objects, right? Psychometry. Touching my late grandfather's watch. Again, the vibrations of information connected to objects is referred to as the imprint. This used to give me a very distinct impression of being right next to him. Referring to my grandfather's watch. The connection was stronger and in some ways more connected to particularities surrounding that watch than simply doing this with focused concentration, looking at a computer screen using psionic methods. Well, perhaps his leather jacket that he left behind after his parting or passing away. You've seen me wear it on YouTube videos in the guise of Herr Dr. von Vrilock before, and this jacket has also another associated collage of impressions and feelings and emotions and images that filter into my mind. I see my grandfather getting ready for an important dinner party. You know, he's going out somewhere. So these objects make the experience of retrospect and mind travel far more effective and perhaps precise to pinpoint particularities about a person who lived or the time and place of interest. And besides, I think it's kind of nice to be able to go back in time and resonate with people that we loved. Don't you? Don't you think so? That'd be kind of nice. Well, you can do it. You can practice, and we'll be talking more about this in the upcoming podcast, and I have many times before. So tune in and listen to our upcoming shows. Listen, we can also commune with our pets, you know. Pets who have crossed over, or they don't even have to be dead. They could be pets remotely, you know, like when we're on a business trip. We can't take our pets with us. Sending these warm feelings to our animal counterparts is not silly-dilly business. It's a good way to keep our furry friends in good emotional health, sending out those positive vibes. Psychic resonance with all creatures of the earth is perfectly natural. And the deceased are not disconnected from this chain of natural cycles in any way whatsoever. You know, this notion that the dead will become angry with the living for calling them to our world is a rather medieval idea. And they, those in medieval times, they didn't know any more about death or the nether world any more than we do today. In fact, we likely have more tools and knowledge at our disposal in our contemporary world of the occult than they did. Our current technology places us perhaps light years ahead of the medieval wizards or the astrologers of old times. Which brings us to what I'm going to disclose with you about the miraculous prayer board and psychometric infusion. Now, how about that miraculous prayer board? Well, when I first created the original test instrument, I didn't know it was going to become a prototype for instruments that I would one day sell to the world, nor make a contract, my friend Joshua, to sell his prayer boards. And in no way did I believe that it was in any way miraculous. It was a simple matter of dowsing various patterns, because I was into dowsing at that time. Back in, 2009 through 2016 is about the time I started working with the prototype for this prayer board. So I was dowsing patterns, realizing my mentor had been correct in his assertion that a particular kind of pattern, it's very interesting, you can read about this in my books, it produced no swing in the pendulum. Now, combined with my study of glyphs and practice of practical applications, I channeled the power of my chakras into this instrument, and in doing so stopped my very first super typhoon. It was Super Typhoon Neoguri, and that was followed by Super Typhoon Hailong, although the story there with Super Typhoon Hailong is a little different. That one was by pure applied will. And this was a good thing, because at the time I was living in Japan, and Neoguri was right off our coast, a monster of storms, and headed on a trajectory that would have caused horrific damages and loss of life should it have hit home. Now, the journey to the prayer board's discovery is detailed in my book. This book is called The Miraculous Prayer Board Guide VPG2, which discloses my life journey into magical thinking, occult philosophy, metaphysics, and eventually the calling to protect humanity from the forces of oppression and the darkness that we see around the world today. But in any event, this working remotely on things like weather, storms, telluric energies, earthquakes and volcanoes. Those are the telluric forces, I should say. Various persons, communities, and the emotional energies that are occupying various regions around the world, whether these are places that need more peace, disclosure on UFOs, what their government's really doing behind closed doors, preventing holy wars and confrontations. This is all exemplary of what I term psychometric confusion. It's the power that they don't want you to have at the top of the pyramid, but too bad, you already have it. You just need the knowledge and the tools to use it. This is a sort of, a psychometric confusion is a sort of reverse psychometry. So, what that means is, instead of simply reading information by touch, albeit remotely, we are also infusing our intent and channeling our will into either an individual who needs help, a place that's under oppression, or development of a concept at large. And at length, we can work with objects on a sacred and balanced geometry that is infused with the design and the circuit of the miraculous prayer board. Now, listen, if you're ready to become the next local witch wizard of your neighborhood, or take up the calling to protect your community from the hurtful forces of chaos, then come join the Vrilock Psionics Club. Or you can start off your learning of this new methodology by purchasing a Miraculous Prayer Board Mini and Operator Manual combo. I also recommend, and I do recommend this to anyone who's new to this world of psionics or the Vrilock experience, or if you've just recently caught on to my show, I highly recommend that you download the Vrilock Practical Guides trio, or at least read the second book in that trio. It's called The Miraculous Prayer Board Guide VPG2. And VPG is just short for Vrilock Practical Guides, for which there are a total of 3 readable guides, and then there are 3 short audible guides. Now, I recommend the reading, as the audiobooks are meant to quickly learn the instruments detailed in the readable books. So they kind of complement each other, really. I should say they nicely complement the readable books by having the audibles. And you'll want to digest the depth of my life journey to really grasp the magic of these instruments, how and why they work, how I was able to make them work, and how you will be able to make them work in various projects and operations that you can do with these instruments. So the Miraculous Prayer Board combo that comes with the Miraculous Prayer Board Mini instrument. I will bless that instrument for you and meditate on it for an hour before we package and ship it to you. I'll meditate on it with your name and pass my blessings that I've been given onto you. You will receive the operator manual, and I encourage you once again to download the VPG2 ebook and read that. So that's all for tonight, lords and ladies. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Until next time we connect, keep the magic high. Vrilock signing off.